Hi there, I'm Chris for Tippy Club Gaming, and today I'm going to show you how to paint Space Marines in the style of the Blood Angels using Heavy Intercessor from the new Kill Team Pariah Nexus set.
So here's the model that we're going to paint today. I've already built them. I've also undercoated them with a black spray paint. I'll be doing a base coat of Mephiston Red, but alternatively you could use a Mephiston Red spray paint and you could do away with this step entirely. But I had a whole bunch to paint and I didn't have a Mephiston Red spray paint. You could also do this step by using a brush, or you could use your airbrush. I'm going to be using an airbrush because I've got this model, the other Heavy Intercessors, the Outriders, and also Assault Intercessors to do as well. So I'm going to get those painted and I'll come back just after that. So here the model is with the base coat down. I did a couple of passes just to make sure that I had a good solid flat colour. And then using Corn Red on my palette, I thinned it down to about glaze consistency, and then we'll begin to start developing the shadows. Anywhere where your armour plates are meeting other armour plates, we want to start transitioning the Mephiston Red with this Corn Red. Also just around the icon on his chest, it's good to outline that because later on it kind of gives it a really nice blend into the darker tones that we'll use. This model's great for practicing your shadows because, like I say, where all the armour plates meet other armour plates, it really gives you a lot of practice doing that here. Here's the model after the Corn Red is applied. I did about 3 or 4 glazes to build the transition. It's a very subtle colour change, but it's there to help the next glaze we do. Now we're going to mix in a little bit of dark green like Incubi Darkness, or here Angel Green, into the Corn Red on the palette, and again we're going to glaze this onto the model. You're looking to start glazing from about halfway down the Corn Red layer we did. Also get this into the recesses between the armour panels and in the vents. This will really help outline these areas. Take your time to build a nice gradient, leaving the previous layer to dry completely before doing the next, and apply as many layers as you want to get the shade as deep as you like it. Follow around the curves on the model's knees and on their shins, and just follow the light and you get a really nice effect in the end. And there we are. After building the shaded areas, you have a nice natural shadow. Now for the highlights. For this we'll use Evil Sunz Scarlet or Blood Red. Once again we'll thin it down so we can glaze it on. Using the Mephiston Red as our mid-tone, we'll build up the highlights of the model. Anywhere you're not sure if you need a highlight, just look from the top of the model down and paint where you can see, always up towards the top of the model where you want the paint's pigment to be stronger. Take some liberties too. Sometimes you might add a highlight where the light may not actually hit, like on the stomach of this model. I still highlight it just to break up the dark red of the model. I mean, he's not a flesh tear after all. I did about 4 layers of this highlight to get to where I liked it, but as always, you do as many layers as you need. We're painting with very transparent layers, so we can paint a lot without having to worry about obscuring detail. Now for our top highlight. we'll add some yellow into our highlight red. I use In-Store Paint's Pure Mid Yellow. I love this paint. Just as before, we'll glaze it on, but from about halfway up the previous layer, gradually painting less to build up the top highlight. Yellow is perfect for highlighting red, giving us a bit of an orange tone we have really good control over, which is why I don't mix orange in instead, because you don't have as much control over that tone. Now we have a really nice highlight completed. From a deep shadow effect to the lightest highlight, the Blood Angel's armour is done. But I'm not finished with this one yet. I still have the knee part to paint and the black and metal areas to paint, so stick around. The right knee pad shows what squad the Blood Angel is in. This one will be in second squad, so I'll be using Pro Aqua's blue as my mid-tone. I paint that on, do a couple of layers to get a smooth colour. Then we'll glaze on the dark tone, which for me is Pro Aqua's dark grey blue. Just glaze it on the bottom of the knee pad. For the highlight we'll use a light blue. I use Pro Aqua's Faded Ultramarine. Glaze this on the top of the knee pad. I use a dark grey for everywhere I want to paint black and metal. I use In-Store Paint's Obsidian Black Matte. It dries a lot darker than it looks. Remember to paint the vents on the backpack, the tubing on the back of the legs, the material on the joints where there is no armour, and the icon on the chest piece. Since this model is a Sergeant, also paint the shoulder pads. Looking good! I also painted the entire heavy bolt rifle since the weapons are going to be metal with black bodies. Next, use a black ink, wash or contrast paint, just something that's going to give you a nice dark finish and get into the recesses, particularly the ones in the joint material. Those bits are all recessed. And once all those bits are coated, we'll leave it to dry. Now that that's dry, we're going to go back to the dark grey we used earlier. Thin it down and glaze it over the black areas for a highlight. I glazed the top of the heavy bolt rifle, chest icon and the shoulder pads. You won't have light on the joint material, so we can ignore them if we like. Using your metal highlight of choice, apply this to all of the metal areas as a highlight. Even though the dark tone of the metal isn't a metallic paint, the highlight sorta tricks the eye. I painted the gun barrel, scope, the magazine, backpack vents and pipes. There's also a sigil on the side of the bolt rifle that I picked out too. With that done, the armour is complete and it's just a case of painting any accessories you've put on the model, like pouches, specs, grenades or whatever, and painting the face, applying transfers and sorting out a nice base for your new model. The colours and transfers on this model mark him out as a Sergeant for 2nd Squad, 2nd Company of the Blood Angels. I think this is a great way to paint the Blood Angels, and I hope you think so too, and give it a try for yourself.
Like the video if you liked it, dislike if you didn't, and hit subscribe to easily see my next video. Or don't. Whatever, you're your own person, do what you like.